as far as the idea of ways of being of service to humanity, many people get a lot of joy out of being kind and thoughtful and caring of their pets and helping them heal, and sometimes feel guilty that somehow that's not as good as being of service to humanity. Isn't it correct that both actions raise your vibration and it's not necessary to have it be only about being of service to humans?
Again, this is about understanding the whole package. Animals are connected to the angelic realm. They are more evolved than many humans. So they're here to reflect to you what it is you may need to learn to be your authentic self, so that you can perhaps not only help them in the situations in which they're reflecting things to you that you need to heal within yourself, but then that gives you the opportunity to also be of service to humanity, which is why the animals are here to begin with, to be of service to you. So you can use what they're reflecting to you to heal yourself and thus be more of service to humanity and everything on the planet. Again, you have to look at it holistically as an expression of the entire package. Don't leave anything out. One is not a substitute for the other. They all need to be performed. Kindness to animals, service to humans, service to trees, service to the entire planet. All of it is important. It's a whole package.
So whatever you're most attracted to would be your guide.
It would be your guide, but that doesn't eliminate the idea of learning to be attracted to other things, because many times you're not attracted to other things because of fear-based beliefs and limitations that you have imposed upon your ability to tell what your passion actually is. And this, again, is one of the reasons why we suggest the Interstellar Alliance Volunteer Corps, because it can get you to step outside yourself and find out where you might be limiting yourself from understanding what your passions could be if you're simply willing to get out in the world a little bit more, step outside yourself a little bit farther, and start interacting with people in circumstances and situations that perhaps your limitations haven't allowed you to ponder, that might actually be of great service to you to do. So again, the volunteering is all about getting outside your normal expectations and assumptions and exploring whether or not there might be other connections that would be representative of your passion, if you would only give yourself an opportunity to step beyond the limitations and assumptions that many people may be making about what they can and cannot do.
And on a biochemical level, this idea of raising your vibration by being of service can you explain a little more about that connection?
Many people find themselves surprised that when they start being of service to others, even in, and especially maybe in, voluntary situations, feeding the homeless, building them houses, helping with hospice work, things like that, it connects them to situations that allow them to feel that they are worthy, that they are here to help, that they have the ability to expand themselves. And that increases not only the energetic vibrations, but the biochemical makeup of their bodies in healthier and healthier ways. Helping others helps you, literally, chemically, energetically, in many different ways. It starts making you feel good about yourself, worthy within yourself, that you have the ability to express this service, this help, this kindness to others. It starts feeding back into your own body in many different ways and allows you to become a healthier individual, one that is more awake, alive, and alert, so that you can again be of more help and get the rewards that come to you for doing so.
Okay, that's wonderful. It's nice that we're organically created that way.
Yes, because everything is one thing. Therefore, the idea of any form of connection that allows you to increase your sense of that connection is something that will improve your health and your stability and your energy on many different levels. It's what you were built to do because everything is one thing. So helping others is your physical expression of allowing you to recognize the connections between everything because everything is one thing.
That's great.
Yes.
So the next question is about open contact, disinformation, and suppression.
Yes.
And basically, the person is saying many of us are fully aware of the prior contact between ET civilizations and our government that have been suppressed for decades. Any higher knowledge or technology the government acquired has been kept hidden from the public while they promote fear-based propaganda and disinformation to the citizens. Can you explain to us how this will be avoided during the period of open contact? What should, and this is would be, this person is putting between 2026 and 2027. What should we expect open contact to look like, and will it take place only in the United States, or will this happen globally?
Globally, of course. Why would it be limited to one country? The idea, of course, is to think about what you're saying. You have just told us that you know that certain factions are hiding the information. Well, how do you know that? Therefore, it's not really a secret, is it? So the idea, as we have often said, is the biggest secret that everyone knows. So those days are almost over. And of course, with open contact, would you not assume that if it's open contact, the public would be very aware of our existence? Otherwise, it wouldn't be open contact. Therefore, being completely aware of our existence because we openly show ourselves to you, wouldn't that be a prevention for someone being able to hide the information? So think about it logically. You already know a lot of this because information has leaked out, and therefore, when open contact occurs, it will be something that will be undeniable. No one will be able to suppress it because, shall we say it in your language, will be very much in your face. So the idea is, again, it will start slowly, bit at a time, to help you adapt, to help you get used to the idea of our presence, our energy, and to help you make adjustments and changes in your society. Those, of course, that are willing to go in that direction and shift to that reality, as always. But then you'll wind up on the version of Earth where it's a given that this is happening. There will be those, again, that will wind up on a different version where no open contact will occur. This is simply one of the side effects of the splitting prism of going into different versions of parallel reality Earths. But those that are open to it, information will be revealed in that reality. Information will be known in the same way that you know of the information you're saying is supposed to be so secret. So clearly, the fact that you're even able to ask that question or make that statement is an indication that that information is coming to light, or you wouldn't know about it at all. There would be no question or statement to make. So it's coming to the surface. You're proof of that by asking that question and making that statement. And it will become stronger in the years to come.
Okay. And regarding the Interstellar Alliance social experiment, this individual is saying, while I take part in it, is it okay for me to get politically involved in participating in public social gatherings where we as a group are asking our political leaders to stop sending weapons to the war in Ukraine, or to cancel agreements that my country has signed to support war in any way, shape, or form other than diplomatically agreeing to peace?
Yes, it's okay. Just do it in a loving and kind way. Don't do it in any way, shape, or form that would be based on fear or negativity or any kind of force. Just do it in a loving way as a request that this is what you prefer, a statement that this is what you prefer. So simply that.
Okay. And this question is, does the Interstellar Alliance operate similarly to Star Trek in the sense that there are many ET races in cosmopolitan ships? exploring the universe?
Well, generally, yes. There are some differences. We're not sure what you mean by cosmopolitan ships. If you mean city ships, yes, that exists. So, yes, there are similarities. There are differences, of course, because while Star Trek overall is representative of your intuitive connection to the existence of the Interstellar Alliance and expressed through your creative art forms, there, of course, are some differences that exist out here from the idea that what you're presenting to yourselves is a science fiction story. So there are many similarities and there are many differences. But overall, there's a lot of similarity.
Oh, let us say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, all right. Once again, we thank each and every one of you and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission at this time. Each and every time you co-create with us these interactions, you give us the gift of experiencing through each and every one of you another facet of creation. We thank you for that gift. Let us begin this transmission at this time with the title 2027, the Fulcrum of Contact. Now, we have previously in these transmissions discussed the idea of a general probability for a window for the beginning of open contact between your civilization and other civilizations more openly on your planet. This window in general has been said to be between your years of 2025 and 2033, give or take a year or two on either side. But the idea now is that things are beginning to crystallize a little bit more, and we can, at this point, in scanning the probabilities, pinpoint the year 2027 specifically as an acceleration toward the idea, the beginning of contact in a variety of ways, a little bit more than the idea of just delivering information to you. It will begin slowly, still. We're not saying that in 2027 all the ships are going to land. That's not what we're saying. So please do not misinterpret this idea. There is still a window. It will begin very strongly in 2027, and here is the explanation of why. Many of you are already familiar in your history with the idea of a seminal event regarding UFO contact that happened in your year of 1947, what you call the Roswell incident, where you really first began to realize that you are not alone in the universe through the crash of a UFO in the desert near your Roswell and Corona in New Mexico. From that point forward began a cycle. Once you had become aware as a society that other beings other than yourself exist on other planets and have the capacity to reach your world with their technology, many different things began to change within your collective consciousness, within your psyche, your awareness. And that began a 40-year cycle. Now, the 40-year cycle has been prevalent in your society for many thousands of years. The idea is that 40 years is generally, in your reality, the time it takes for a complete transformation of a society into a completely new point of view. You see examples of the idea of people changing over 40-year cycles throughout much of your literature if you look for it. The idea, therefore, is that from 1947 to 1987 was the first 40-year cycle when you became aware of the idea of other life in the universe. And in 1987, many of you started to realize that there was another culmination cycle going on then, and you called it the harmonic convergence. And at that time, we began to bring through more information about what's going on out in the universe and how different kinds of societies relate to your world, specifically about the idea of the beings you call the Greys, and how we first began to explain the real legacy, the real history of what that society was all about, being that they were originally humans on a version of Earth in a parallel reality that did not necessarily take care of their world, that destroyed their version of Earth through their technological means and their lack of spiritual context, and mutated themselves eventually in order to survive into the beings you now know as the Greys. We told you this story and helped you understand that the reason that they came from their reality to yours and many other versions of Earth was to access viable human DNA, since they were no longer able to reproduce, and with that DNA and their technology, create a race of hybrid beings that would continue their culture so they would not die out. As we have explained many times, of course, we are one of those hybrid civilizations. And Earth, in a sense, in its evolution, is becoming another hybrid civilization. But the idea being from that point forward in 1987, when you began to realize what the larger story was and how you're connected to it, and how the information that we share with you is not only for the purpose of continuing the Greys' original culture from the parallel Earth, but also to help your world not necessarily go down the same path of destruction, because you had many similar traits and still have many similar traits to what it is that brought about the destruction of their version of Earth in their reality. But by disseminating and absorbing this information into your society, you have the option they didn't have. You have the option to take a different path. You have the option to create a reality that you prefer. You have the option to create positive realities of peace. So the idea here then is we are now nearing the end of that next 40-year cycle in 9 of your years in 2027. And that's why 2027 is now the focal point when the next 40 years, the next phase of contact can begin. It will accelerate at that point in a variety of unexpected ways. There will be more sightings, there will be more synchronicity, there will be here and there on your planet individual and isolated contacts happening. Now, as we have explained, the hybrid races that exist will not necessarily be the first beings that you interact with. There are others that you will interact with that in many ways are actually a little bit more like you and a little bit closer in relation to your world, and therefore interaction with beings more like yourselves will alleviate some of the ideas of panic that some people on your planet may feel in interacting with alien species, allowing you the opportunity to get used to the idea that you can have neighbors from the stars. And as soon as that becomes something that you are far more familiar with, then other races that are a little less like you can begin to introduce themselves in a constructive and peaceful manner that does nothing to disrupt the society that you have chosen to create for yourselves. But it will begin in earnest. The next phase will begin in 2027 and accelerate from there, all the way up, as we said, till about 2033. Between 2033 and 2040, as we read the energy as it exists now, if nothing changes, the highest probability is that between those years, 2033, 2040, you will experience complete open contact on your planet. And during that time, also, the children that were created from the extraction of the DNA, the hybrid children, will begin to arrive on Earth to live in certain enclaves, in certain secluded areas, safe areas on your planet, again, where they can live as a group, where they can acclimate to living in your society, and you can acclimate to their society, and you can begin to blend and harmonize and welcome into your reality, welcome them into your world, and begin to really develop a real strong relationship with those children, to begin to truly understand your place in the stars, your very honored place in the galactic family. And through those years, 2033 to 2040, you will develop much, much more understanding of all the interrelationships that have occurred and can occur between your world and other beings from the stars. From that point forward, again, as we read the energy now, up till about the year 2050, all of that acclimatization will take place so that somewhere around the year 2050, you can actually enter into membership, if you wish, with the idea of the Interstellar Alliance and truly begin in earnest your education of the galaxy and a true understanding and connection of creation and existence that will spread you to the stars to explore, to discover more of yourself, and allow you to truly, from that point forward, develop a true harmony and a true paradise on your planet. So 2027 will be the kickoff point for that, a very strong one, and you will see a lot of different things happening in that year. It will be a very exciting time. Now, before that time, we give you a little bit of a preview coming up into your next year of 2019, which we are going to label the crossing of the threshold. You will find 2019 will have what you would call a lot of things breaking up, ups and downs, scattering, more splitting into different parallel ideas, more dichotomy, more polarization, but again, the continuation of getting everything out on the table so you can decide what kind of a reality you truly wish to have. And it will lead up to your year of 2020, which is a very important point for a variety of reasons we will get into in more detail later. But the idea is you can understand it symbolically as not only the idea of 2020 vision, seeing very clearly now where you are heading, but also the way you use it in your reality of 2020 hindsight, where you can really look back, see where you've come from much more clearly to make a very clear decision in that year of where it is you would prefer to go and really begin to live in the reality you prefer, regardless of what may be going on with other people's choices, regardless of what other choices they may make to experience different kinds of reality than you may feel vibrationally compatible with. Regardless of that, the splitting into the different parallel realities and the different paths that can lead you into the reality you prefer will truly be happening in 2020, where you will have a much clearer understanding and a much clearer vision of where you've come from, why you've come that way, and where you can go from there. And that will help in that period leading up to 2027. That will help crystallize it for you and make sure that you are precisely, exactly, synchronistically where you need to be that serves you best in 2027, so that you may experience the fruits of all you have learned in the beginning of the point of contact with other worlds. So we thank you for working with us in this way. It is absolutely our passion to be able to further contact with your civilization among the other civilizations that we have contacted. It gives us great joy to be able to know that it is possible to interact with your world in this way and invite you into the family so that you can begin your process of moving at whatever pace is comfortable for you from the idea of Homo sapien to Homo galacticus. So, we will talk more about this in more detail as the years progress, as it begins to unfold. We will point out certain synchronicities that it would be wise to pay attention to so you can add them to your bag of knowledge and your ability to gain more insight and outer sight as to what's going on around you more clearly. And taking into account what we discussed last night of your time, knowing that you are all time travelers in a sense, determining which parallel reality paths you are taking by following your joy, by acting on your passion to the best you can, dropping all the insistence on what you think is supposed to happen and letting reality show you, letting creation show you the gifts that it has for you, and responding to them in a positive way will drive you forward and allow you to experience the great acceleration that we're talking about that will come to a head in 2027. So then, in return at this time for the gift that you have given us in allowing us to experience all of you in this way and form a link and a bridge to your society with ours, I ask in return, how may we now be of service to you? Please begin with your questions and dialogues if you wish.